This is the video for 12.3 Day 1 notes. We're going to look at indeterminate form when square roots are involved. And when this happens and you get 0 over 0, you're going to want to rationalize. So we're going to multiply by the conjugate. And just a quick review on what the conjugate is. It's just changing the plus or minus sign between the two terms. So for example, if we have square root of x plus 2 minus 4, this is the sign, this minus sign that would change. So the conjugate would still be x plus 2, but then it would be plus 4. So make sure that you're not changing those signs within the square root. You're changing these signs between the two terms. Okay, first example we're going to look at is number 4. The very first thing you always want to do first is direct substitution. And when we do direct substitution, we do get 0 over 0. So that is still the first step you want to check. Now that I know I have to fix this 0 over 0 problem, I see the square root, so we're going to multiply by the conjugate. So the conjugate is x plus 4 plus 3, and whatever we do to the top, we have to do to the bottom. All right, so in your numerator, this is like difference of squares. So the two middle terms are going to cancel out. So what's really happening here is the first two terms are multiplying together. Any square root times itself essentially cancels out. So we're left with just x plus 4, and then the last two terms are going to cancel, or are going to multiply. So a negative 3 times 3 is a negative 9. So that's your numerator. Now the denominator, do not do extra work for yourself, because what we're hoping for is we're hoping that this x minus 5 will cancel. So don't do any multiplying. Just leave it as x minus 5 times this whole quantity x plus 4 under the square root plus 3. No need to multiply here, because when we simplify our numerator, look what happens. We get x minus 5. So we're super happy because that's going to cancel in our denominator. All right, so now what we have is the limit as x approaches 5, 1 over square root of x plus 4 plus 3. So now do direct substitution again. Plug in x is 5, and we should get 1 over 6. Example number 5, the first thing you always do is try direct substitution, and if you get 0 over 0, that's when we need to take some more steps. So we do get 0 over 0, and I see some square roots, so we are going to have to multiply by the conjugate. So the conjugate is 2x plus 3 plus 1, and whatever we do to the top, we have to do to the bottom. So now when we're multiplying, remember, this is like difference of squares. Those middle terms are going to cancel. So the first two terms multiplied together is going to cancel out that square root. So we just have 2x plus 3. And then the second two terms are going to multiply, and we get minus 1. So that's our numerator. And then in the denominator, remember, don't make extra work for yourself. Don't multiply these out, because it's almost always going to cancel. So when I simplify the numerator, I am going to get 2x plus 2. Denominator stays the same. And then I can factor out a 2 in the numerator, and there's our x plus 1 that we're going to get to cancel. All right, so those x plus 1s cancel. So what we are left with is 2 on the top and the square root of 2x plus 3 plus 1 on the bottom. So now you're going to do direct substitution again and plug in negative 1 for x, and we should get 2 over 2, which is going to simplify to 1. And our last example, number 6, always try direct substitution first. We do get 0 over 0, so now we're going to multiply by the conjugate. So 3x plus 1 plus 4, and same thing goes on the bottom. So as we multiply in the numerator, those first two terms, the square root's going to cancel, so 3x plus 1. Those second terms, we're going to get a negative 16. And again, don't multiply the bottom because we're hoping something will cancel. And when I simplify the numerator, we get 3x minus 15. And then it looks like I can factor out a 3. And there's my x minus 5. That will get to cancel with the denominator. All right, so we're happy about that. So now what we are left with is 3 over square root of 3x plus 1 plus 4. Direct substitution, substitute x is 5. And you should get 3 over 8.